it is going to be gnarly out in the plains. We've got the winds, we've got the snow, we've got that heavy snow here. And one of the reasons Jim was talking about, going back towards Davenport there in Chicago is because he's close to Lake Michigan. And if you're close to that water, then you get the water temperature, the water takes a long time to heat up and cool off. So the water's a lot warmer. So that can actually help moderate Chicago's temperature. We don't have that here out in the plains. We are just straight wide open spaces. And look at the heavy snow and look at our wind gusts. I want to point out here 30, 40, 50. Our advisories are for 60 to 70 mile an hour winds, and the blizzard warnings and just wind advisories that we have. Kansas City, it's going to be coming into you as we head through the morning hours. We're going to be in the heavy snow as we head into the afternoon hours. Notice that rain snow line is going to stay south of where we are located here. And then as we roll into our Tuesday kind of afternoon and evening, things are going to improve. That's why when they're going downhill in the Midwest, the Northeast, and the South. So the north side of town, we'll see the heavier snow north and west of there into Missouri. We will get some heavy stuff for us. Here's Omaha coming on in, and I'll tell you what, the winds, I think, are what are really going to just kind of ruin your day with this. It'll be nice to get a good heavy snowfall for us, but with that wind blowing it around, it'll be really treacherous. Tough times on the roads, could lose power in some places. We could see here 6 to even 8 inches of snow when all is said and done. There's Davenport, where Jim is talking about heading to get away from that warm water. And not only are we going to see the heavy snow, but again, the visibility. We're going to have issues on the roads with all that wind that's going to be blowing through the area. It then pulls out as we head into basically later in that on Tuesday, overall early Wednesday morning. But there is your double-digit snowfall, and Kelly, that's where he wants to be.
Exactly. Yeah, right there in the
6 scale, which is the low pressure and the fronts associated with this system, are going to cause their own wind issues, let alone what's going to be happening within the thunderstorms here. So watch as this thing really starts unloading on Texas and Louisiana as we head this afternoon and as we head into the evening hours. And by the way, the severe weather threat lasting into the overnight is quite scary, because that's when the highest percent of people actually lose their lives for obvious reasons. There isn't a way to be woken up. It's dark. A 3 on our Torcon, a 5 on our Torcon towards Baton Rouge. The scale goes to a 10. The higher the number, the higher the threat. So we could see supercells with this. We could see a line of storms, QLCS as they call it, setting up as well. That could give us some damaging winds, but we do have a very strong severe weather threat with this. So everyone needs to take this very seriously. On top of that, we're going to have coastal issues. We are going to see heavy rainfall. 1 to 2 inch an hour rainfall rates in some places, so flooding is going to be a huge concern. I mean, as Jim said, we've got it all with this system. There's a 5 out of 10 anywhere from New Orleans to Lafayette over to Biloxi and even into Alabama as well. Watch the rain come in this afternoon. Stick around as we head into our dinner time, and it does linger. There, finally, it's going to start pulling through as we head into the overnight hours and as we head into our early Tuesday morning. And the same as we go along I-10, this is where we have our biggest threat, Kelly, is along that I-10 corridor, anywhere from Texas on into Florida today, and then it just shifts east tomorrow.
You're right, the flooding and
and then, of course, Jim, we are going to see yet another system cross the country. This is... It's like we've been so quiet, Jim, and now all of a sudden it's just boom, 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 boom for us.
It's hyperactive. It's really hyperactive.
Just like you, Jim. That's why we love you. And that's why we're out there. All right, Jim, we will talk to you in just a little bit. We will talk to you. That's why we love him, right? His passion. That's right. That's why everyone loves Jim. And people ask me all the time, what is Jim like in real life? We get that a lot with people. What is he like in real life? He is exactly how you see him on TV. I always joke, this was years ago, like 15, 20 years ago. We were somewhere together for work doing something. And I was like, all right, Jim, we got to go. He's like, Abrams, hey, let me tie my shoes. Like, everything is just passion with him 24/7, right? You can see him doing that, Kelly,
Very
right?
true, very true.
That's why everyone loves Jim, because his heart is in it. And that's why I think everyone loves everyone here at the Weather Channel, because we're just all heart.
You too.
Okay, maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. Here's a look at our flood watches. They extend from Mississippi down into Louisiana. I mean, we are going to be getting drenched with rain. Half a month, near a month's worth of rainfall for some of us. We could see 1 to 2 inch an hour rainfall rates out of some of this. Now, we need all this rain because it's been so dry, but all at once is obviously problematic. It's going to come at a short period of time, which means that we have that threat for flash flooding very likely here. New Orleans, Macomb, over towards Mobile, and definitely possible all the way up to Tennessee and back towards Texas and Florida, too. So let's time it out because things are just getting together, right? Just getting together. And they really start hammering out this afternoon. As we head into the evening, we're going to see very heavy rainfall, especially along that I-10 corridor, but it does stretch all the way up into the Appalachians, where there's the threat for some flooding, too. This is all going to start clearing out as we head into Tuesday evening and by Wednesday morning. But notice that we do have that rain that's going to be surging north along the Appalachians for our Tuesday and Wednesday. So, yeah, we might clear out throughout the southeast, but the rain's going to surge north, and look at that threat for flash flooding. Obviously, the higher elevation could be problematic for us. Severe weather, the threat shifts east tomorrow, and we still have a 5 out of 10 on our Torcon. So the higher the number, the higher the threat. So severe weather again tomorrow, and that does include Florida, where we just had a tornado this past weekend. And we can get tornadoes in every month, so keep that in mind. But from Florida all the way up to the Carolinas, watch this line. And yes, we could have individual supercells, but this line alone, that could bring some gusty winds. And within that, you can get some storms to spin up. The timing of this takes it through the entire day. I know a lot of kids going back to school today, tomorrow here in the south. It gets down into Tampa, Daytona. If there's any after-school activities, those are going to be ruined even into the evening hours through the Carolinas, down into South Florida, and then we'll start to be clearing out as we head early on Wednesday. But very strong winds associated not only with the thunderstorms, but with the entire system itself. From coast to coast and everywhere in between, Storm Finn is on the move, bringing severe storms to the south, snow to blizzard conditions to the plains, and the Midwest and the Northeast will see a mess from this, too. When this massive storm will hit is going to be crucial to planning your day. Let's go to meteorologist Jim Cantore. He's live in Chicago. And, Jim, you keep talking about how you were going to move west to maybe Davenport or that vicinity. Let's talk about why that is and how the lake plays really a huge role in Chicago's weather, depending on, to determine if they'll see that snow or that rain-snow mix.
Steph, great point. As a matter of fact, you can see behind me, and as you heard from Kelly and Stephanie, we already have delays mounting at the airport. Steph, that is going to be a big deal, not just with this storm, but the next one coming later this week.
Oh, yeah.
Holy
air travel is going to be an absolute mess this week. So let's talk more about what this is going to do in the Northeast, because the rain, I think, is going to be what is going to impact us the most. We do have flood watches from Maine all the way down towards the mid-Atlantic. Heavy rainfall streaming north for us, and very strong winds. Philly, Tuesday into Tuesday night. It is going to be an absolute mess. Thankfully, this does clear out fairly quickly. But look over the past 2 days. We saw over a foot of snowfall in some spots, and now we're going to get rain on top of that. This low is going to be driving it, surging it northbound. So you're getting rain on top of snow melt, and that means that we're going to see the potential for flooding. Those rivers are going to come up as well. And then don't forget the rain that we have on top of all of this. So flooding likely due to that heavy rainfall here. Anywhere from really New England all the way down into Virginia, we have the threat, and then you will see some snow as well into the interior. But the rain is what's going to be grabbing the headlines. We could see a month's worth of rain in some spots. And show you that everything really kind of gets going as we head into the afternoon and evening hours for us. Notice at 3 o'clock, you have a lot of cells, and we could have individual supercells. But we're also going to have a line of storms that's going to come through. And on top of all of that, the system itself is going to be giving us wind gusts up to 45 miles an hour. So you're going to see the winds within those thunderstorms on a small scale, and then you'll also see them on a large scale as well. So that's all going to blow through. We really don't get finished with it until Tuesday early morning. Strong stuff coming through New Orleans. Again, afternoon around that lunchtime hour, Baton Rouge, Biloxi, up into Macomb, Mississippi. Heavy rain. Look at this for your 5 o'clock if you're driving home, maybe kids coming home from school. I know school's going back finally for a lot of people today or tomorrow in the south. There's that big line that I was talking about that's going to come through. And notice what time. It's overnight. And within that, you could have damaging winds, which, by the way, sometimes can be worse or just as bad as a tornado. So a tree could fall on your house, whether it's just damaging winds or it's a tornado, and do the same type of damage. Alabama over towards Wiggins, Mississippi, over towards Greenville into Alabama and Florida. Here's that big line again happening at the worst possible time. Within this, you could see spin, you could see damaging winds and very heavy rainfall, flooding rain. There's a potential for evacuations to happen in the middle of the night type of a thing. How about Birmingham? Let's go a little bit farther north here, and we get those showers really coming in as we're all heading to bed. Heavy stuff coming through. There's your line into I-20, Montgomery, Prattville getting hit hard. 4 in the morning, very heavy rain coming through. We finally clear out as we head a little bit later in the day on Tuesday. Then you got to wait for the upper level energy to get through. State capital of Florida, when are our storms getting in? We're a little farther east. Well, it looks like noon on Tuesday. That's that line, that QLCS line that we keep talking about. It's just basically a long line of thunderstorms. But within that, you can get little spin ups and very heavy rain and also wind associated with that. That's our severe weather. We'll have more on that. What about the snow? Jim, what do you have coming up in this next hour of AMHQ?
Yeah, we're going to all of a sudden really 2 blizzards this week. What a start to 2024. Holy smoke.
Not to mention the blizzards, but the severe weather, which we'll get to in just a minute, Jim, and we'll check back with you momentarily. But we want to get to our headlines with Winter Storm Finn. City. We are going to really kick off as we head over the next few hours, and we're going to get deep into the snow this afternoon. The rain and snow line is going to be staying to the south of us, so we are going to be all snow for us here. That means the plows will be out. That means the roads are going to be getting treated, and it's going to last through the entire day, essentially on Tuesday, clearing out as we head into Tuesday evening. When all is said and done, in and around Kansas City, to the north side of town is where we'll see the heaviest stuff, and into Missouri, we could see up to a foot of snow, and there's always an overachiever. And don't forget, the snow is going to be blowing around too. So these totals, right? You might say, oh, we got 6 inches, but you have a drift to 12 or higher. Omaha, here is your snow coming in, and it's going to last as we go through the afternoon hours into the evening hours, rolling into early tomorrow morning, and then we will start clearing out as we head into the early, really kind of late morning, early afternoon hours for us here into Omaha. A solid 6 to 8 inches of snow. Again, I can't emphasize enough the winds, the winds, the winds. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw power outages, some tree limbs down with some of the winds coming in. Davenport, where Cantori keeps saying he's going to head to for this storm. We've got it. Look at that heavy snow, that dark blue coming in, S+, as we call it here in the meteorological world. That will start to pull out as we head into our early Wednesday morning. Davenport, we're talking double-digit snowfalls. And again, you've got the drifting, and that's going to make visibility really rough. Look at Milwaukee. Our winds gusting 30, 40 miles an hour with this system. So even though we'll have light snow, you could still have visibility issues and also a tough time with clearing the roads because the wind's blowing everything around. 5 to 10 as we look to the west of Milwaukee. That lake influence is huge here with those warmer temperatures. And Kelly, we get that snow coming in. We're a little bit farther north, so we have some of that colder air from Green Bay to Oshkosh clearing out for our Wednesday morning.
I think a lot of travel plans are being messed up.
Oh, look at the timing with this system and show you that it's really through the morning into the afternoon when things kick into overdrive, into the evening, torrential downpours here, especially along this I-10 corridor. Houston, we've got clearing conditions not until Tuesday morning. So we're going to have all day into tomorrow with the storms. Notice our Torcon values, 3 and 5. The higher number, the higher the threat. The scale goes to 10 for us here. And we will see not only the threat for supercells, which could, those big rotating thunderstorms that could crank out a tornado, but also just a line of storms, as Kelly was mentioning. We don't clear out here in Louisiana until Tuesday early morning as well. New Orleans, it's going to be rough. Over towards Biloxi, Macomb, Baton Rouge. It is going to be stormy this afternoon into the evening. Look at this heavy rainfall too. Flash flooding is going to be a huge problem for us as we go through the day today. There's our strong line coming through, and notice it's happening overnight at 12 a.m. That's going to push on through, and we still have light showers into tomorrow morning. As we go east, everything is going to be a little bit later, right? So as we go into Mississippi, more 4 or 5 o'clock when that heavy rain comes in, and then those stronger storms will pull through overnight. There it is, midnight. You see very heavy rain. That could wake you up. A lot of lightning with this, a lot of thunder too. So it is going to be a rough, really 24 to, let's say, 48-hour period in the south. Everything blasting through Alabama, moving towards Florida here. Even Birmingham, Montgomery, it's going to be an overnight issue for us, or very early morning as these storms come through at 4 a.m. Prattville on into Alexander City, and we still have some showers lingering into early Tuesday morning. Kelly.
Well,
We have a big flood threat for the day on Tuesday. Really, it's tonight, noon until tonight, I should say, but that flood threat exists as we head into our Tuesday as well, so I don't want to leave that out. Mississippi, Louisiana, on into, this is going to extend east. I wouldn't be surprised if we extended these, because look at these advisories. This is through tomorrow, which is why I was saying into tomorrow we do have that flood threat that will extend up into the Appalachians and eventually into the Northeast too. 3 to 5 inches, locally more than that, coming at a short amount of time, gives us the threat for flash flooding. There it is through tomorrow morning. New Orleans, Macomb, Mobile, that's where we have the heaviest threat. But notice it stretches all the way from Texas towards Tennessee and into Florida and Alabama as well. Loads of moisture. I mean, our PWatt values, that means how much moisture you can squeeze out of the air, the precipitable water, is very, very high. New Orleans, Jackson, Montgomery, very heavy rain. This goes through the entire day on Tuesday. So this is a today, tomorrow event, and we clear out as we head into our Wednesday. But we will see it stretching from Georgia all the way actually into the Northeast, that threat for flash flooding. Very likely, of course, if you have any elevation, that also can help squeeze out more moisture from the atmosphere. And the severe weather from the Carolinas down into Florida. Again, our Torcon value is a 5. The higher the number, the higher the threat for us here. And even down into Florida. Remember, we just had that EF0 in Fort Lauderdale. And so with these Torcon numbers as they are, we do have to be very worried and very concerned, especially because some of this could happen overnight. Tomorrow afternoon, look at this line that we have stretching really from North Carolina all the way back down into the Gulf. That is going to bring some very powerful winds, heavy rain. We could get little spin-ups on this as well. Wouldn't be shocked if we see several tornadoes out of this. Gets all the way through South Florida into the overnight hours and pulls offshore here as we head into our early Wednesday morning. It's not just thunderstorm winds, but also large-scale winds with the system that are going to be cranking for us. And so you could have just large scale, just breezy, like you walk outside and it's breezy, that type of wind, opposed to a thunderstorm where you'd be right under it and get very strong winds. These large scale winds could be 45 miles an hour within a thunderstorm. They could be heavier, and notice that we could see them as high as 75 miles an hour or greater as we head into tomorrow. And then, of course, it's not just the South, Kelly. There is a winter side to this as well.
A lot of power.
I'll talk about all the snow that's going to happen on the north side of this system. It's called Winter Storm Finn, and it's going to bring snow to the plains, the Midwest, also into the Northeast. When this massive storm could hit, could actually be crucial to planning your days. So let's send it out to meteorologist Jim Cantor, who's live in Chicago. And Jim, I know that, you know, when we're going out in these live shots, sometimes you get there late. It's a hustle to get there in the morning. So I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I've known you 20 some odd years. I know that I can do it, and you'll just be honest with all of us. Do you know if they are going to be treating the streets, getting plows out for this? Because in Chicago proper, it's going to be rain, snow, light snow there.
Right. And the fact that the rain is a part of the mixture, Stephanie, means that they probably wouldn't. I mean, I can't speak for the, the department, but you're going to wash some of that off and kind of lose the whole point.
That was what I was thinking.
And nor does it look like it's going to get really super cold in Chicago. So, just regular treatment should be enough here. Now, that said, will be a high impact day just for that reason alone. All right.
Yeah, you might get 6 inches, Jim, and then all of a sudden you're down to 3 and someone else has like 14 inches with it all blowing around like that.
Right.
And it's hard for the plows to keep up with that.
Tough forecast. Yeah, it's going to be hard to figure that out and when you're supposed to go out and do what you got to do. So the best thing to do is just stay home. But let's talk about the rainy side of this, because this is a really big deal for the Northeast.
I think, Jim, this is one of the biggest deals that we're going to see. And we do have flood watches from Maine all the way down into the mid-Atlantic. And remember, a lot of these areas got hit with 6 12 inches of snow. Now you're going to have rain on top of it. Flooding could be a huge problem for us here. Philly, not only do you have the rain, but it's going to be blowing rain. Temperatures in the 50s and the 40s, less than ideal. The past couple of days, there's that snow from our weekend storm. And then you toss all of this moisture, very warm too, that's coming out of the south. It's not going to be cold. Obviously, you're getting rain instead of snow. And that means that you're going to have strong winds, driving rain, driving snow, where you have some of those cooler temperatures. But 2 to 3 inches, which could be half a month to a month's worth of rain for some of us here in a short amount of time, that's going to potentially cause some flooding. Rivers are going to rise here, so our forecast is going to be definitely one that could be very damaging in the Northeast. There's your snow in the interior for some of us, but river gauges, they are going up here in the Northeast. We're going to see the severe weather today moving into tomorrow, and all the hazards are the same over these next 2 days. We could have that threat for tornadoes, damaging winds with this, and then flooding as well, which a lot of people might not think is a form of severe weather, but it absolutely is. So here is a look at where we have our Torcon values, 3s and 5s. Lake Charles over to Baton Rouge. And the higher the number, the higher the threat. It goes to 10, but 5 is something that should be giving you notice. You should be taking notice and getting prepared for the storms to come through. They start blowing through, especially this afternoon. We could have supercells that move on through, and then it all is going to be pushing east. It does take until early Tuesday morning for everything to kind of clear on out. There is our Torcon today into tonight. Baton Rouge, New Orleans, over into Biloxi, Macomb, Houma. And not only are we going to see the severe weather, but just heavy. I mean, flooding is going to be huge. And remember, New Orleans sits below sea level, and they can pump 1 inch an hour for the first hour, and then it's a little bit different after that. But they can pump the water out. This is what I worry about at midnight. The very strong line of storms coming through, and then we still have just a few scattered showers after that. Mobile, Alabama, for us, it's going to be an evening event. Centinelle, Greenville, Bruton, all the way down into Pensacola. Look at this line coming in at 3, 4 a.m. for a lot of places. This is very heavy rainfall, very strong winds that spin in the atmosphere. There's a lot that will be going on in the next 24 to 48 hours, because it's not just the thunderstorm winds, but it's the large scale winds. So power outages could be an issue. Roads could be blocked. There could be water rescues going on. There could be nearly everything happening. Birmingham, we're going to be coming out of it around 4 a.m., but down towards Montgomery, we'll just be going into it. Alexander City, Auburn, again, kids going to school. Make sure, because, you know, a lot of times when we're kids, we don't pay as close of attention to this kind of stuff. So maybe just give your kids a heads up, this is coming. Tallahassee, the state capital, it comes through us during midnight. So very, very dangerous weather happening overnight. Now, on the north side of this, we're going to go to Jim Cantori back in Chicago. Jim, what do you have coming up in this next half hour?
Oh, my gosh.
Maybe you'll stay in Chicago, Jim. You go to Davenport, come back to Chicago.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Chicago could be in it. You're right.
Could be back in it. All right, let's have a look at our winter headlines. Jim, thank you. We'll check back in with you. It's going to be a snow event for you. Maybe a little mix to start, but then it is all snow as we go into the afternoon hours, with that rain snow line staying off to our south here and the snow lasting all the way through our Tuesday morning. And you're going to have the winds on top of this. So I do think plows keeping up with the snow is going to be really, really tough, really treacherous. Heaviest stuff will fall north of Kansas City here as we look into portions of Kansas, over into Kansas and over into Missouri. You have to think about that for a second. You're like, wait, there's Kansas City. Yes, Kansas and then Missouri. That's where we could see the higher totals there, up to a foot potentially for us. So as we roll through the day, Omaha, you'll get in on that heavy snow. And Omaha's a place that had a white Christmas. And now we're going to add to that here. Not a lot of places had a white Christmas. They were some lucky ones. And things will start to pull out for us. Omaha, we're talking 6 to 8 inches. Some of us are going to be a little higher. And then you have the drifts with all the blowing snow that's going to be coming with this as well. Davenport, where Cantori keeps saying he's going to hunker down for this one, we get the heavy snow tonight, continues to morning. Tomorrow morning, he'll be up with this heavier snow here coming in, and the winds blowing as well. The winds are definitely going to be grabbing headlines on the newspapers tomorrow morning, whether they are actual physical newspapers or maybe your digital version of that. We could see double-digit snowfall here for us. And as we look at the winds in Milwaukee, yes, we're going to have lighter snow in Milwaukee, but you could still have visibility visibility issues and problems keeping up with the plowing because the winds are going to be so strong. Notice that lake warming us up right here. It's really cool to be able to see that with heavier snow as you look at a little bit farther inland. Kelly, it gets into us as we head early Tuesday morning. So you'll be waking up to that snow and it will be lasting through the day.
Yeah, pick your poison, whether it's the blizzard.
Let's have a look at the timing of all of this because the storms really get going. Yes, we have a few showers this morning, but they really get going as we head into the afternoon and the evening. For Texas and Louisiana, we could see supercells cranking out of these. And then we're also going to see just a big line of storms that will be traversing eastbound and coming through. But it won't be until early on Tuesday morning when we finally can get rid of all the rain. Torcon values 3 and 5. On our scale, we go up to 10. And so the higher the number, the higher the threat. And notice along that I-10 corridor is where we have the biggest threat for our tornadoes. And we'll see all of this really come together this afternoon, this evening for Louisiana. But again, you still have to wait for every piece of energy with this to come through, and the showers will finally clear out as we head into our Tuesday morning. Then we look into portions east of that, so Mississippi on into Alabama. New Orleans, we have a 5 out of 10. Heavy rainfall. And remember, New Orleans, it's like a bowl. It literally is a bowl. And so that rain's going to sit in there. We can flood very easily here. And we do have flood advisories that are posted. There's a stronger line coming through in the overnight hours. And then early morning, just a few leftover clouds and some light showers. As we head east, it's going to be a little bit later in the day for us, so heavier stuff coming in as we head more around that 4 o'clock hour. And then as we go into Monday evening, we still have strong cells that could be pumping out the tornadoes, pumping out the hail with this. Your line is going to come through and we get better into our Tuesday morning. Mobile, Greenville, Pensacola, Florida here. Look at this line, 4 a.m. is when it's going to be coming through. So you might get an early wake-up call tomorrow here for some spots. Kelly.
Well, Steph.
And talk about more information on these storms. We've got a busy week, Stephanie. Another blizzard later this week, which looks to be more promising for Chicago, I think.
It does, Jim. And so maybe you'll just stay there through the week, and we'll see about that. Let's have a look at the severe weather, however. By the way, he looked nice and bundled up in that Carhartt gear. We'll have to ask him. This is his first winter storm of the season. And, you know, he's been in the South a long time. And I always joke with him that his blood is thinned out because he's originally, you know, from New England. We'll see how he's handling that cold this morning. Takes a minute for your blood to thicken up this time of year, doesn't it? Especially when it's been so warm. Speaking of warm, we've got the warmth in the South, and that means the flooding potential is in Mississippi, Louisiana. This is from tonight till tomorrow, but notice how everything shifts east. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more flood advisories posted as everything is going to go east. 3 to 5 inches of rain. We could see 6+ inches of rain in some locations. The one saving grace is this thing does move, but it's kind of an all-day event for some of us. So if you get in a couple rounds of that heavy rain, it really could be excessive, and you could see some flooding because of that here from the coast all the way really to the I-20 border, I-20 corridor, I should say. So there are your showers moving east through the day. Monday, Tuesday, it's an all-day event for us here. And don't forget, with this, we do have that threat for severe weather. The Carolinas down into Florida. And that flooding is likely, especially as you look at Jamaica and Atlanta and go up the Appalachians into the mid-Atlantic. There's your severe weather threat. Same threats tomorrow as we have today, the hail, the damaging winds, and of course, tornadoes. We have a 5 on our Torcon where you see the deepest red shading there, and the higher the number, the higher the threat. And a 5 is up there, especially for this time of year, so watch for that. We did just have an EF0 tornado in Fort Lauderdale. It was a big one for Fort Lauderdale this past weekend. Look at this line coming through, Kelly. That's where you're going to see the most damaging winds. They cut through Florida through the rest of the day. We pull out of the Carolinas finally as we are hopefully going to sleep.
Yeah, that's why we're on all.
Is on the move, bringing severe storms to the south, snow to central plains, Midwest and Northeast. When this massive storm hits, could actually be crucial to planning your day. So let's go to meteorologist Jim Cantori, who's live in Chicago. Jim, this is not just a thing with planes, which is going to be a big-time issue, but on the roads, that blowing and drifting snow, even if you don't get the foot of snow, 3 inches with winds at 40, 50+ miles an hour is going to take down your visibility.
Right. And combining a recent snow event with now a rapid snow melt and a heavy rain event is never a good thing.
Wait, before we get to that, I was saying earlier, how are you feeling out there in the cold? This is your first, like, big storm, being in the cold. We need your blood to thicken a little.
That's it, and then the jacket.
That's great.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, we're all excited about our partnership now with Carhartt, so that is good to hear. Jim, we'll check back with you, but let's get into what you were saying about the Northeast. We are going to see some snow in the interior, but the big story is how we just saw a lot of snowfall, and now we're going to have very heavy rainfall. So that rainfall alone would cause the potential for flooding, but that heavy rainfall on melting snow is going to exacerbate the situation and cause issues with the rivers as well. Tuesday to Tuesday night, rain, wind. We clear out Wednesday, but notice the wind. The wind always sticks around for an extra day with these systems. The past 2 days, we saw over a foot of snow in some spots. And now we're going to toss all of this moisture coming from the south. So it's nice and warm and juicy all the way up here into the Northeast. And you see those tightly packed white lines, those isobars, lines of equal pressure. That means it's going to rain out. So 2 to 3 inches of rain. You're talking half a month to a month's worth of rain possible in some spots. So there is that flash flood potential from Virginia all the way up into New England. Snow in the interior. There's your rain closer to the coast for us here. And there are all of the river gauges. That's a forecast for many to go into moderate and even major stage. Kelly, as you said, is tonight, right? Because a lot of people are going to be going to bed. So having different ways to be woken up, even if it's someone calling you that lives somewhere else, or someone that stays up late, or someone like us who wake up very early in the morning, we could call you, because a lot of these storms coming through at 3, 4 in the morning, when you have people doing shift work, that could call and let you know. So today it is Texas to Florida. Tomorrow, severe weather stretches from the Carolinas down into Florida. And it's the same type of severe weather both days. Damaging winds and tornadoes are a threat. A 5 on our Torcon scale here. 10 is the greatest threat, though 5 is something you really need to be paying attention to. As we go through the day, it's going to just unload on Louisiana, especially this afternoon around 3, even 4, 5, 6 o'clock. We have multiple different cells. All of these cells are going to be cranking out lightning, heavy rain, and if they get that little spin in them, they could have tornadoes in them as well. It will take until early in the mornings on Tuesday for everything to be out of this area. How about New Orleans? Look at Biloxi, Macomb, Mississippi. We also have a 5 on our Torcon, and just huge amounts of moisture coming in from the Gulf of Mexico. Heavy, heavy rainfall lasting around dinner time. And again, multiple different potential supercells, and then a line coming through, which, by the way, you can get little spin-ups within that line. And regardless, you're going to have damaging winds, not only, by the way, in these thunderstorms, but also large-scale damaging winds. Even when you don't have the storms, you're going to go out, and it will be breezy just from the overall system. Rain comes into Alabama, that intense line right there, 3 a.m. So if you know someone maybe that lives on the West Coast, you know, make sure they can break through to your phone and wake you up if you have it on sleep mode here. And it's going to be storming. They can look out for you. We got to look out for each other a little bit more here in this country. Birmingham down to Montgomery. For us, it's also an early morning wake-up call. We do get the showers as we head into the evening, and then 3, 4 o'clock. Look from I-20 down towards Prattville, coming into Montgomery on 65. Then it's just lighter rain after that. As we continue through our Wednesday early morning, everything will be out of here. State capital of Tallahassee, state capital of Florida, Tallahassee here. It is a noontime situation for us for lunch. Obviously, we're going to have a lot of coastal issues as well. Lake City, it gets into you, and then we finally are going to clear out. Let's look at the snowy side of it. We clear out of it. Jim has a look, because Jim is really just getting its act together today.